Hello, hello. What's up, y'all? Uh, as I guess re-clarifying a couple of things that came up from the yesterdays. So I think the biggest thing I kind of forgot to mention was these what are these things, and also why am I seemingly so comfortable with all this? Um, Mostly because it's been going on for the past 2.5 years. 18, 19, 20, 21. Wait a minute. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Damn. Actually, almost 5. Time's fucking flying, eh? Um, yeah, it was back in 20, I think it'd be the end of, no, it'll be the end of 20, or around 2019. Never mind. So, like, almost 4 or 3. Um, anyway, so, basically, I have 2 videos here kind of explain what the Galactic Federation of Light is. It's a real hoot. One of them is featuring the Canadian Prime Minister that first came forth even before the government approved saucer videos.
Give me the general's telephone number and give him a heads up that I'll be calling. Because I thought I should check with him personally and hear his voice and what he had to say. And I had met him, so I knew who it was. And so I phoned him, and before I could even say, hello, how are you, what's the weather like, he said, every word is true and more. Those were his opening words. And he spent 20 minutes telling me the and more within the limit of his oath. I guess it went as far as he could. And he said, and this was the most important thing he said during that period, was that there have been face-to-face meetings between United States officials and visitors from other star systems, period. No equivocation. And so with that assurance, and my own conviction based on what I already knew, I said, I'll go to the meeting. And at the meeting, I said that UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying overhead. And that was it.
And it's been reported in...
So I think he's talking about there, the meeting where it was kind of around his time of retirement, but so he was kind of in charge of space security in a way. It's the Canadian Minister of Defense. So I guess it counts for the skies and the seas and the land. Skies being somewhat space. I mean, everything could be space. We're floating on a spaceship rock right now, but you know what I mean, the analogy of that. Not literally, that's a spaceship, but so, and then in his meeting, he talked about how there's a lot of different races and which ones were basically had interactions with people that he had gotten full reports on from his government and other ones. There was even one story where I think it was a Syrian woman. I might have the wrong race there, but just some alien woman. You know, basically just another person, but from another world, or I guess could be dimension, but or both. But they had met up, and he like kind of helped her, I think, with her daughter, save her daughter or something, and they ended up actually like getting along, having a relationship, like a loving one, more intimate. I don't know. That's what he said. And there's other. There's a guy that I guess he wrote a whole book on that. I forget the book was called. I probably should have looked that up. But so then he talks about what the Federation of Light is. There's another general after this that does that too.
A couple interviews that you've mentioned, there's a Federation of Alien Species. Do all of the alien species kind of work together, or is there warring species that war with each other?
Well, I only know about the Galactic Federation, and I don't know much about it, so I shouldn't talk about it. But they are concerned about what's going on in the world, and they have been working through individuals. They'll pick out a few individuals and visit them or talk to them telepathically, or send information to them by channeling. I have a very close friend who was writing a second book right now with channeling from a species called the Basidas. Very few people have heard of it. They have a deal that they won't interfere. But I think that there's also a loophole if things get bad enough that they would make exceptions, but we can't count on them.
So that's why I guess we don't see a lot of them in like the actual beings themselves in a lot of pictures, and other than like maybe the ships, it's just this weird. I mean, they talk about the contract, and it's basically that the main thesis is that because Source or the creator or whatever you want to call it, kind of wanted each planet to have its own certain exclusivity for its own production of way of life. Like it's kind of like a divine design for it. Like it's just kind of, you kind of collect more of a birthright to that specific planet if the people from there or that have been there the most or occupied it the most, and kind of resonate with it more because they have taken their own authority to subjugate themselves to that specific place and make it their own. Don't want to get too redundant there, but but not all of them agree with that. I've actually heard from recent reports there's a Taigetan people. Well, it's from this site, is actually one of the bigger report sites, and these kind of look like these do look like Photoshop doctored heads on like kind of like cool exosuit armored bodies, but that's actually what it is. I've heard some of these actually are like real photos of them, but doctored to make it so that if they do decide to come down, that they won't be like hunted down. So they're just altered slightly, I guess, or enough to like I get a general idea. But anyway, and then there was also some people had some debate as to the fact that because space is so vast that you would think the odds are people wouldn't, or other beings wouldn't look like human beings, which is kind of unusual because even on our planet we have a wide variety of like people that look, like different species. like even like Asian people, I mean, they do slightly look more like aliens just because of the design.
Are here to
Of their eyes. Like these are, usually more closed eyes. Some people might just disguise that as being racist, but it's not any hatred. I love Asian people. And it's not even just trying to make fun of them. It's just a direct observation of how they would look. I mean, you can see it in this lady. And then pretty much any Asian woman. Well, not any, but slightly closer than majority of other people. Like even this Indian looking person doesn't quite look as much like that. But I mean, you just take away the eyebrows and the hair and make the iris and pupils way bigger, and the eyes, and kind of soften up the ears. But and then these would just look like, people from some Scandinavian place. Or maybe even like a Dutch person. Got me these. And basically, a lot of these different races, they say, have slightly different ideas because they, come from their own planet, which can be, different environment or upbringing than most. But yeah, the people from the Taigetans, I guess more of the majority kind of disagree with the way the contact is made and stuff, but they were doing contact directly through chat to this other woman, which I'll bring up in a second. And they made some really profound, a lot of videos. And the more you watch the videos and all the information, it becomes very clear that the videos and information is it's definitely has a lot of an uplifting ideals to it. It gives you a big, a conscience expanding way of looking at the world and life, and it's most of it's super positive. I mean, I think the other argument I heard too was that this was some type of fraud, and that they were saying that the argument against it, I guess, I mean, they can make fucking bullshit about anything, but was that they're saying they're gonna save us all, and that's not even part of the a lot of the messages. It's mostly, well, to a point. I mean, there can be some of that, but it's mostly stating that would only happen if majority of the world, or a large enough percentage of people became aware of their presence in just that right in our outer atmosphere and sometimes below it, and acknowledge that what they're saying resonates with them, and they just wanted their help instead of just having to deal with all this bullshit that's going on our planet, by, what do you want to call it, by ourselves, two, an unevolved species at some level, such as humanity, and to kind of take care of all the cleaning up of the bullshit, all the negativity and negative energy and shit that goes on. I don't usually talk or like talking too much about that, but who knows? Maybe it comes up in a different video. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you just look at the difference between the way that we've been raised and the messages, it's quite clear that their message is very benevolent, helpful. It's mostly, I'll show some of the videos about it, but it's mostly about having some type of love and appreciation for your life and using that to empower your, just like a mission on Earth, basically. So it's like really powerful message. I mean, it just, if you listen to enough of it, it'll indefinitely empower you to make some really drastic, huge improvements and changes in the way your outlook is and how you are able to relate. I mean, it's almost like having a religion that you have complete free will not to believe in. I mean, I think that's a lot of the other reason why that these things kind of lay back too, is because they don't want to push their ideals and you know, state of consciousness on someone. I mean, or at least, you know, people use the word push, but just introduce it in a way that everyone just takes that on, and then we're all out of our own element as far as taking our own volition. Is that the right word? To use our own understanding of the world to evolve it, or the universe to evolve it. But let's play a little like the rest of the video. It's only 2 more minutes, or a minute and 10 seconds.
I mean, maybe we can count on them, but we shouldn't count on them because they say, you clean up your act. You're in charge. It's your planet. And if it comes to a dead end, it will be because you let it or made it a dead end. Because it wasn't necessary and you had everything going. It's one of the best planets in the whole universe. And everybody covets the fact that it's so good, and you have been destroying it. And this is something that we've tried to let you know by various ways over a long period. The individual communications always say, look, there are things you've got to do. Stop your clear cutting, stop your fracking, stop using fossil fuels, because there are better ways.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal.
Fucking weird looking channel though, but I don't recommend that one. That one looks fucking like demonic shit or something. It looks fucking creepy. But anyway, that was just the message is going forward, just from the Canadian Prime Minister. This is another piece of evidence kind of combed over, was this Israeli space security chief says extraterrestrials exist and Trump knows about it. The Galactic Federation has been waiting for humans to reach a stage where we understand what space and spaceships are. Halm Eshed said. So if you look him up, he wrote a book, and we were kind of looking for the translation of it because it was in like the language they use in Israel. So, but he wrote a whole book, and it lists the Galactic Federation of Light in it.
Random baseball statistics and political trivia.
What the heck? Somehow I went to some other crap. So basically, I mean, obviously, some people are probably curious what they look like. This is said to be one of the depictions. We're often told that the depictions themselves aren't entirely accurate, but some people actually get invited into the spaceships and see them firsthand and can recall it. I guess that's the hard part too. Is sometimes it's like an astral travel. If anyone has ever done like lucid dreaming, or even astral travel, but lucid dreaming is basically where you wake up in the dream and you're aware of it, and you just see like everything kind of more for what it is. Like you see a lot more of the detail, and because you're consciously aware of it, not like waking up and be like, oh, I had a dream, like, you know, where all my friends, and like it just kind of seemed real. And then like when you're lucid dreaming, you're like, because you're awake in it, kind of semi awake, you're perceiving it at a much higher level of awareness, and then you start to realize, well, this is like a different realm. Like it's so detailed, it seems real. Like I can see why my brain thinks this is real at night. Which is also like kind of like why it was pretty important. This isn't the best picture, but they kind of showed like their light body outline behind, because I mean sometimes people say it's a depiction of like the soul, or some people have actually outlined that in people that have died, showing the depiction of, I mean, to bring that one up, this spirit leaving the body. But apparently with them, it can do it at will. Oh, possibly fake viral video. I love how they just discount like every single thing that is metaphysics. Oh, okay. I've even seen it where it was like legit hovering over, but you get the idea. People talked about it. But basically, even ghosts are kind of too within that, slightly in that realm. I guess they're, I'd say, more of like a fourth dimensional thing, which is kind of like a little more advanced version of the dream world. But anywho, so another version of that. This is a little bit more high res, because we looked at the ones that look like people. So it's kind of for some reason that can be more confusing because it's harder to relate that as something that traveled from another world or or realm. But this makes it a lot more clear, I guess. Motherfucker ain't got no ears and a flat ass nose. Yo, got a freaking giant, almost a football head. Um, but it have blue textured skin. You know, it's like I'm blue, yabba dee da ba die, na ba dee da bung die, yabba dee ba bum ba. These motherfuckers blue, and they have 3 fucking fingers. They look like a dang trident. I actually just noticed that one. And they're hailing Earth and sending it energetic love and appreciation, which is what they say in a lot of the videos too. So then there's even more like high-res renderings. One guy even makes a channel. Speaking of channels, but in which he does, like, it's kind of like an old school software, but he'll do a rendering of what people have said, like I guess through their own previous EEG experiences, some physical, some kind of more of that astral projection type, like your energetic projection of yourself is going up, meeting them somewhere. But the ones that have just been physical, people like sometimes it's even like children. But I've heard like one grown ass man had them like come into his house. Some of them actually appeared as children too at his house, or just really small aliens. But this is the Lyrian, and he gives like stats. And this guy's name is Piperon. Can we see it? And he's blowing in a pipe, like a. He's Pied Piper. He's gonna take us into the shithole. No, and he's been. I guess he's been doing this for 10 years. And it's quite weird because he's not quite blown up yet.
We, the Lyrians, are here to
But,
nourish you in your spiritual awakening. Open your heart and live in the loving light.
Obviously, looks a little silly because it's, like an older program, and it's a rendering. It's not an actual video, but anyone could even just say, like, even if there was there was a real video, people can be like, oh, it's just a CGI rendering of like someone that looks like a weird person. But I don't know. There was that whole thing where they're saying, well, it's just too strange that they kind of look like us, but like prettier versions. I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean, I guess even with like the Vitruvian Man, they kind of proved that the human body is like a really optimal form. I mean, you can use it to like be upright with opposing thumbs and stuff to build amazing machinery. I mean, fucking space shuttles and giant buildings and stand upright and drive vehicles of fucking amazing speeds. Obviously, there's even some like stranger ones. I mean, this motherfucker looks like a dang bird. Oh, so let's look around a little bit, keep it a little light. Got Federation of Light, and like I said, that one is Lyrian. So yeah, I mean, and then maybe like a little more typical, slightly more typical rendering of what people usually, put as a stereotypical ET. But this one's an Andromedian. I'm probably not saying that right. Andromedan. Another reason I would think it wouldn't work out too well is because people are already racist against fucking a lot of people. Or even ours, like quite. Not everyone obviously is racist, but quite a few people are just like, oh, like you look different, you're a fucking enemy. You're gonna like threaten to like, or you're a threat to me because you're not one of us, which is also not what the majority of them say. The most prevalent, kind of agreed upon truth, if you will, is that we all come from the same consciousness, which is what they refer to a lot as source. It's just basically our version of what we understand as God. And that means that we're all basically just eventually can return to that. I mean, there's different, I guess, what people call levels or the expansion or the different versions of what we would consider reality. A lot of that's illusion. Wait, where's their? Oh, here we go. But I don't know. It's just the wealth of information that they would be giving us in order to evolve ourselves would in its own be making us like very empowered to be like very dangerous. And most of the world, or I guess a lot of the stuff that's taught to us is that, like previously, besides this, is that you're kind of dependent on just like a cause and effect world where like everything is just like grudgingly getting through like mundane tasks, and the odds of like your dreams or anything like good happening to you are extremely low, and you're basically just gonna have like a bunch of shitty experiences. It's just very negative, and uh like you're kind of like brainwashed as like even like a child, like through schooling, to like just go through all these just fucked up lessons about almost nothing. It's kind of just like your your lessons are basically just memorizing facts. They're not even really lessons, and then regurgitating them onto like a spreadsheet with like multiple answers, and like trying to figure out which answer matches. And a lot of that information was just to make people like a good, corporate, brainwashed like worker, where you're just whatever the higher ups say, you're able to like take that in and repeat that information elsewhere and just be kind of like a good like little slavey hoe. But I don't know, this is kind of more empowering, like stepping into yourself and acknowledging a divine essence that has still refracted through. I guess they call it like lowering yourself to the third dimension, which is what we're in, 3D. And acknowledging like your higher self. So having encompassed that you do have a soul, and that when when you die, it's not really a death, it's more of just a transition to these other places which they come from and you've come from, and that basically that makes everyone part of the same team, even though some people aren't really in that role, kind of play against it actually, or just don't know. I guess it could be also the other option. And yeah, they're more able to give hope and faith and a bright outlook through the messages. I think a main theme of that would be that once you acknowledge these things, a lot of your fears and frustrations and regrets and anxieties they'll fade away, or most of them, because you're kind of just like realizing synchronicities. It's kind of silly with my headband. I look like the dude from Star Trek. Reading Rainbow. Diverting all power. No, to focusing. So, yeah, because the synchronicities are basically things that happen that are too ironic to be ironic, or just a coincidence. And that it's kind of even a little bit beyond me, but a lot of the best ways I can explain it is because you have even like dead ancestors that come around and try and guide you, which also people that have died have mentioned to have ran into, that they've never heard of or met before, like a great grandfather or something. And or these ET species, because they can telepathically exchange information, implant like ideas to your mind, which you have discernment to actually still, even then, to use your free will and just act like it's nothing, and or just dispute it and say, oh, that's just feels right, and feels right in my heart, and it gives me chills and makes me brighten up, and but I'm still just gonna consider that BS. But oh, which gets me back to my other point that I also forgot in the last one. So I actually have, through these connections, or have had, I think it's been about, that's probably been about a year and a half. But after I moved my brother, and in the last video I talked about how my arm would actually, I could allow it to move on its own, or I could deny it and stop it. And that was also a trait from Daniel Scranton, who's now a channeler. But before he was channeling, he said that would happen to him, especially when he's in a really relaxed state. He said, like, getting a massage and stuff, he would have it happen somehow, just like some type of like energy, actually channeling. Oh, there we go. Like receiving signal, I guess. I'm not sure how exactly how that all works, but I haven't seen the class on that one, the video. But because it was moving and I could, kind of command it to do so or not, I was like, well, how could I use this to my advantage? This is really profound, it'd kind of be a waste if I was just like, deny it and just happening and fucking act like it's bullshit. And then, that somehow make me feel safer or something in myself, or even though I wasn't being harmed or in any danger. But yeah, I basically just chose not to be that egoic and like simple-minded. I was like, well, how do I maximize this effectively? And I figured, well, if I can use my hand, then that'd be the easiest way to communicate, because it's more cut and dry than just like random, sometimes random thoughts just enter your head, like depending on, your exposure to like different things and like the energy that you're experiencing then, or what you're viewing before, like your upbringing and all the like the brainwash shit that you're watching on the news. Or like people tell you things and you just were in like a sensitive state and you believe it. But so I was like, if I could use the hand thing to my advantage. So what I did is I said, hey, can you just, give me some type of hand signal, like I guess like a thumbs up for yes. It kind of had to like evolve it over time, because there is like some middle ground. Thumbs up for yes, and then thumbs down for no. And then the other one was, and I'm gonna relax my arm now, see if it'll happen. The other one was like if it was like kind of, then I would just say in the middle, like you kind of withdraw the thumb backwards. But either way, I could get it to do it multiple times in a row to confirm that it wasn't just like some conscious neurological response, like. But I never used to do that shit. I wasn't like giving myself thumbs up for like good idea, dude, or something before. Let me see if just asking to do it now. It did before the video, so this is embarrassing. Come on, do something. Don't leave me hanging. Read the depths. Oh, thank God. Fuckers. It usually doesn't take that long. Well, it can take up to like 15 seconds, but so yeah, I don't really have like a way, I guess, in convincing that this is a real phenomenon. But and I guess also I watched another video guy talking about his experiences, like kind of the whole like jolliness and like comfort with it seems kind of like I'm just playing like a prank on people or something, and that like I'm getting, I don't know, I guess it just seems like he was getting joy out of like pretending and like getting like attention. I'm not getting that many fucking views. I don't really give a shit. I'm just trying to find some type of like answer, or some other people I know, that there's got to be more people out there that have this experience and like what they've translated out of it. Because it just seems way too important to just come over and be like, this is, fucking hide this shit. It may, it may not be as direct form of communication as, well, it's pretty damn direct, but as clear. Sorry, I was like reading your thing, as like the text one that this lady has, or maybe even the channeling because it's full of words, but it's still pretty dang good. So just ask like a question like are we gonna be having some text chats soon? I don't really know what to do like in the waiting time, just kind of dead air. Oh, okay. No. Shit. Shit. Alright, one more just for clarity. So I usually have to do it twice in case it's like, yeah, like a synaptic nervous response or something. This is like fucking, oh no, I should say that. The Ouija board? God dang it, that one seems evil. Fucking A. There has been talk online about like an actual face-to-face event coming, like more direct contact. Are we gonna be experiencing that? And I guess relatively like in the realm of happening what we would consider soon. Oh, there we go. Solid, yes. Well, will I be able to finally see you fuckers? And like, other than like the silhouettes. Oh, so there, fucking, that's awesome. And I'll be able to talk. I guess like a face to face. No. Fucker. That's a joking about. I'm pissed off it. Supremely intelligence. What about like astrally, or through some type of like metaphysical or etheric realms that I'll remember more clearly? Oh, okay, yeah. What about more fucking spaceship videos, like clear, more up close ones? Because my camera sucks. It doesn't pick up the light at night if it's not zoomed in perfectly. Oh, what? Shit, that's something cool. I tried to get a telescope actually at one point. It was badass. It was like electric. It's from a relative, but so they were gonna give it to the kids or something, but they ended up putting it in storage. I'm like, bullshit. You shouldn't have put it away then. Okay. Well, let's do a kinda, I guess. It's a kinda question. So will I be able to make out what you look like then? So you be coming down physically and talking to people? I'm not getting good with the kind of question. are going to be able to meet and help in every way possible. No, I guess, yeah. Can you just do a kind of for us, because I'm running out of ideas. There it is. It almost hurts. It's like really tight. I mean, it doesn't technically really hurt, but it's just so tight. It's like I'm not usually that strong. My fucking finger pulling. Does it look the same when I do it? That was the one I should have done earlier, because I heard it's actually really hard to swirl your hand like the opposite way while it's swirling one way. I was like reading shit to try and like confuse my brain and get it to like show that I'm not consciously doing it. I'm still going. Alright, that's enough, I think. Anyway, I just fucking do like a bunch of bullshit, okay. How long are we at? I try to keep them under the threshold of time. So then, I think, what would I be doing now? Just closing my hand? You have to, I think you have to swirl, dude. But yeah, even in the Israeli guy's book, it does say that they were going to help people, and I think even the Canadian Prime Minister's interpretation of it was a little bit harsh. But I mean, it almost sounds like an adult, like that's like kind of is like being like tough love, like you fucking, you're old enough, you gotta fucking do like your shit. This is your planet, you fuck it up, and like, you know, not like swear like me, but the messages aren't quite like that usually. I've only heard something similar like that once, and it was just like you just need to stand on your own 2 feet, and this is just from one channeler. It could have been his interpretation, but he's just saying you just need to be able to stand on your 2 feet, like talking about like an actual like baby during this evolution process, and that they're kind of trying to more teach that you have the control, because you are that same piece of like God source energy, and you have like that divine power behind you, or within you, I guess would be the best way of saying it. Not outside of you. Like, you don't have to look outside yourself. Like the powers of like, even like things like people talk about more and more manifestation, and like having a positive, basically like having a positive outlook, and like being able to hold that and maintain that kind of like faith and your ability like to manifest will bring forth effort, or not much effort, but it takes way less effort, sometimes almost none, to get the things that you desire. Not that you don't have to do anything, but and the fuck is my hand doing? It's a strong hand. And it's pointing at the mic. And just that is like kind of the other main teaching, is that, you know, we are powerful, and we have collectively, like they've even shown studies of this too. We can look it up. I don't know if I could type right now. No, it's that during meditations, like worldwide meditations, crime dropped. And COVID keeps people inside. That's not what I fucking looked up, you son of a bitch. No, meditations. And that there's basically, because a lot of the world, I mean, it even shows, I guess in another episode we can get into like how this stuff is even fucking possible. Or how you could even just be able to, especially if you've been exposed to any of this, to be able to understand metaphysics, quantum physics, which isn't too hard to understand, but it's kind of, more in the realm of like, this stuff seems like woo-woo magical, like bullshit. But yeah, it basically maps out how, I mean, through quantum physics as well. I mean, it shows in the two slit experiment, the most famous one, but they did it even with like different particles other than just photons. But I guess most stuff is made out of light particles anyway. But that our reality is basically just an illusion, like a collapsed waveform of like kind of more free flowing energy, and when it hits the other side, it becomes a solid pattern when it's observed. So that means like it kind of like goes into like this wishy-washy this woo-woo, no, this energetic wave kind of less like, solid form, and then it backs up out. Once you try to observe it, it appears solid, and it has more of the traits of not being able to pass through it. But apparently that's the most important thing is, in my studies, I think the most important thing that they seem to keep presenting is that they can transfer their consciousness and soul and through a dimension or density, whatever you want to call it. They've mastered that ability, and then to like kind of lower or whatever you want to call it, like to densify themselves to appear in our world. I mean, I did that in the last video. We showed it was actually an FBI document about how they how it's been recorded that had happened. But that's one hell of an ability. That means, I think that would mean that you could, I mean, you wouldn't even really be able to be injured or harmed. All your fears would fade away. Also, if you could do that, you could come back. I think they even say it kind of, what they come back as, the form that you take, I guess that's why they look like that, is like a projection of their consciousness. So you're kind of seeing, the body assimilating some type of version of how they imagine themselves for some of them, or maybe they used to be born in the physical body that way, and that's why they can reemerge as that. So there has been pictures too of just like a glowing UFO ship, like it just looks like ethereal, and this was according to experiences of a guy that had multiple interactions with Palladian people from his farm, where they kept like picking him up kind of like suddenly sometimes. I guess he'd be in like a more relaxed state, so they just kind of like have to surprise him to get him up into the ship, and then they would actually show him like other planets, and like they even showed him one planet that was worse off than us. Like they were all at war, and I guess even while he's on the ship, they like launched a nuke at him, and they they like had to contain and vaporize the nuke. Sounds like that one movie, Mars Next. They sucked it up and vaped it. No. But that's just, you know, it's just one guy's report. I just personally just you don't have to believe fucking anything I'm saying. Obviously, I don't think I'm really requiring anyone that's in disbelief to do that. I'm more looking for people that are already fucking, like, you know, on their way to figuring this stuff out. Because it's just kind of ridiculous to say that, like, we understand everything about the universe. Even our top astrophysicists, like, well, I wouldn't say top for this one, but Neil deGrasse Tyson was even saying that it was ridiculous to believe in UFO sightings, even though there's been like so many. Even the CIA has even confirmed it, declassified it with the Navy sightings, and there's been like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of interactions or whatever people would call abductions and sightings, probably more than that. But there's even websites for that too. But basically, they thought that it was just not possible because of like the physics of like how long it would take. I mean, like one of the Kepler, wasn't it the Kepler planet, was what they would consider like the most inhabitable one was like over 100 light years. It was like over your lifetime, it's impossible. And then yet they're here. And he's saying that a lot of people say like they have no interest in us, but there's like the Canadian Prime Minister coming forward saying there's like many species that have had interest in us, and they even like our planet. But and they basically said that all the, you know, the acrobatics, I guess you'd call it, the aerial flight paths and are impossible because they would break our laws of physics, which apparently they do all the time. And then they even had that guy who used to work on them in the named Bob Lazar in one of the like top secret areas, not 51. I think it was called, oh shit, I forgot the name of the number. It was just some other number. There's, if you watch the Bob Lazar interview, he gives full detail of how they can like use these like gravitons to kind of bend gravity and space and thus time around them to like make like what we would consider impossible maneuvers. Because like jets, you know, they don't just like stop going one direction and then just go like 180 completely the other direction. Like it would like probably, you know, obliterate the organs of like whoever's like maneuvering it on the inside, because it's like hitting a wall. It's just like too much forward momentum and then hitting a wall, and then your energy has to be dispersed somewhere, so it just like all goes forward. But they can do that. I guess it kind of puts them in like a weird energy warp inside. Oh, this is the picture. But so I mean, I don't know. I just because what I'm saying is don't just plainly trust, you know, what we consider as like the higher authority or the people that, you know, are expected or trusted to give you all of the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help you God. Because a lot of times he even said that it wasn't in their interest to like tell people everything, and especially not give them all the facts. But if you just do your own research, you can find out tons. I think that was everything. Well, not everything. There's obviously a lot more I can get into, but as far as well, kind of encompassing my experience. I was trying to think if I left anything else out. Trying to explain what happens, who they are, how it's okay, how it's not scary. It's actually fucking really exciting. But yeah, I mean, most of the ports we're saying that be able to go up there and do more direct contact, and some of them are going to decloak and come down. But because yeah, they have the ability to become invisible, which I've actually seen. Did I mention that one, right? That we saw a ship in the air uncloak because a plane was a fighter jet was about to hit it, and they didn't release that video. Yeah, I haven't seen it declassified. Over Rosamond. Yeah, I think I got that one. Like this one. Oh, I've been able to. You can do it in a different video, but it was like a. They call it like a light language song. I can do like the throat singing. I really practiced that very much, and I think I remember last time I practiced I wasn't very good. Now I'm like way better. And it's also another thing that channeler Daniel Scranton does. That's what I was gonna mention to you. So if you want to check out more of this stuff, I recommend these channels. Literally, they're called the channelers. Oh, it's Bashar from Bashar, channeled by Daryl Anka. Apparently this guy has been one of the longest people doing it, so he has some of the most experience, and I guess sometimes even like some people's like previous ideals can kind of translate through, but I guess he's gotten pretty pure because he's just been doing it for so long. He doesn't really seem to give a shit about how he looks or what happens when he does it. Because some of the actions are pretty wild. Sometimes the head is just fucking moving around quite wildly. Definitely some powerful energy behind the voice sometimes. And it's quite funny too. I've heard that obviously their humor is one of the easiest ways to get very light and empowered and friendly and fun and energetic. Yeah, I mean, and then I just pulled another one on the side. What is this one?
The next transmission will be titled Resonance, the Mechanism of Connection. We will explain and go over the idea of how frequency is what determines the connections you make, the communications you are able to have with different sources of consciousness, so that you understand that even though there may be many different expressions of that connection, many different kinds of communications, they all rely on the same mechanism that involves resonance, mirroring frequency. So we will delve into the different expressions of how resonance allows you to make connections to whatever form of consciousness you may be interested in. So join us and resonate with us in the upcoming transmission.
So, the thing to note with these videos, if you decide to watch them, and I really hope that you do, is that the message introduces you usually to something quite intelligent sounding, or at least, truthfully intelligent, because a lot of it is profound, and a lot of the information is also new, which seems kind of important. Like if they were just regurgitating things that you already knew, it wouldn't be much of a broadcast. It's like, yeah, 2 + 2 = 4, and you're like, okay. Some of it is kind of which you would say obvious, but it's a great reminder, and it's also very enlightening to have a new perspective on these different aspects of life in the universe. Oh, that was the last thing I fucking forgot to include, was that it was just would be very arrogant and kind of like self-centered to believe that we're the only ones in the universe, and that they, like, we have the ultimate understanding of how everything works, because we've only been around for like 2,500 years, and these things could have been around for hundreds of thousands, because the universe has been like many, is it trillions of years old? I think galaxies are 13.7 billion years old. That's what they thought is the age of it, but you can try different sites, whichever one think resonates with you. I suggest using the ones first off with less scary looking imagery, which kind of like isn't always the best one. I'm gonna pick this one. I haven't vetted this one, is basically what I'm saying, but these show a lot of the same images. Some of them even feature also like archangels. Fucking, yeah, that's the one thing some of those religious zealots fucking nailed, huh? It's been reported that they don't actually all have just wings, because you can just kind of float around in like an astral body, if you've ever done that. But it's just like more of the toroidal aspect. I actually have a picture of that one. And I mean, there is Daniel Scranton. That's one of the names that I remember. His is definitely a little bit more like pronounced sound and movement of a channeling, which can be deterring or makes it more acceptable and easier to perceive as truth. You can go either way on that one. And then you can just search Galactic Federation of Light. Doesn't always appear at first. I think sometimes they give you some bullshit. But they have these channels. Huh? And they're kind of good because they kind of do like the voice over of the person that channeled it. So it's not just someone like me just talking to you in a room, like kind of like in a meditative state. I almost said weird. Just a different version of our previous existence, a new way of looking at it. Do I have the picture? Looking at the picture of the angel thing that someone took. Oh, here's the an etheric rendering of. Some people have actually seen this. This is one of the. Strangely enough, this is one of the more common reportings. Kind of see like. It looks like, I guess, main chakras glowing. But this is like, I don't know if this is from a movie or what. There's like pineal glands growing and like the two eyes making noises over there, and then kind of like the chest area. It's like a almost like the heart chakra, and then a glowing etheric body that can like translate or like telepathically or diffuse through fucking what we would consider material matter. Like a fucking ghost report. Same shit. Well, similar. So this is one of the later videos. Just want to make sure I didn't forget anything. Oh yeah, there it is. I guess maybe that would be why people perceive that to be alien. This looks like a aborted baby. It's got a fucking really distinct face though. It's just kind of cut off right there. It's like not all the way being perceived through the lens of this camera. I think this is what more people perceived as like the alien. It's got like more of a, I mean the alien, the fucking archangel, more of like the toroidal aperture, or what you want to call it, energetic flow of energy. Because here's what the toroid is, and it's kind of like a very understood level of physics, where it's like how energy is like transferred, especially like around the Earth, and even people they've measured it, but like the poles and like how energy can like flow in and out through like the top poles, like down and out the south and north. True north. It's true. But obviously a lot of the concepts are so alien to us, new, that I don't know, it just would trigger like what else people would say, like a immune response, like it doesn't line up with the previous ideals of like even what we've been brainwashed as like what the true religion is, even though you can just be born to any religion and they're all like pretty fear based. Like if you do anything fun, or a lot of the fun things, you like burn into like apocalypse of hell. And for some reason, people would like blame God for that. It just doesn't make any fucking sense, because they said that it was a responsibility of the devil. So I don't know, that one gets confused. But they're like, oh, like I don't want to go to heaven with the goody teachers. I want to go to the hell. Like, wait, that's the place that they tried to fucking say in those old scriptures is the fucking worst place you can go, and God's not the one doing it. It's fucking just translated more to the devil. But anyway, that's getting into like that's like I guess more vague of a scriptured, like human created phenomenon of like just greedy old people that kept changing the narrative and the story over time, and that's why they have so many different renditions of the Bible and shit. And you can't use your fucking genitalia that was created by God for you to desire constantly. For really consistently after puberty, to want to enjoy the pleasures of another person or create a baby, either or. That's a fucking evil sin. You go to hell forever if you do that before you get married. Just shit like that, or like somehow gambling is wrong, and it's like yeah, I guess whatever. I mean, maybe it doesn't always work out, but you make fucking $10 million from these people, like a gambling place that has like 700 million. It's not, there's a person that made $10 million and really thinking that the gambling is really that fucking bad, huh? And it doesn't really negatively affect anyone because they still have 700 million. It's like a fucking drop in the bucket for them. That's like $10,000 to like a person with like 700,000. Did I translate that correctly? It doesn't, and you can still fucking have all their yachts and shit. Basically, what I'm saying is not everything that we're taught in the religious scripts makes sense, but a lot of the stuff that they're teaching in these things just adds up. It just resonates better. Obviously, like, people are really cautious with anything that seems like religion nowadays, because they're also like, they just get so confused, and there's so many like conflicting narratives that people like you try and take two different, they've even shown this in like science, but try and take two different aspects of like something and they seem contradictory, like your brain like just can't fucking handle it. It feels like it's being attacked at your ego and it just wants to just take one side or the other or just fucking negate all of it, just to like have some type of like comfort. So yeah, and the one before that we had looked at, if you want to get like a really clear message, was that first one was this one Gosia's cosmic agency, because this is said to be online communication. So they're just literally just translating through different Earth satellites to computer text, which I guess could be seen as less amazing than someone talking through them, but yeah, there's many channelers. You can find whatever the fucking one you want. I don't give a shh. And yeah, just learn it as much as you want. I mean, I would just watch the less negative sounding ones, or less talk about that first, just to, I mean, obviously they do talk about the whole spectrum. It's pretty much almost full disclosure at this point. Some of the stuff I guess is like so fucking like kind of heavy that they don't include all of it, but it gets pretty fucking deep anyway. Like that one said attack on it. Watch another one. History falsified. So some is just interesting. Like, I mean, this fucking one is really cool. Did we go to the moon? How to break perceptual agreements. But the most important part, I guess, is it talks about how people, because some people were born as these different civilizations, or they were in that area, as a Tigetan or a Pleiadian or a Andromedan, or a Syrian, and then kind of were tasked with coming to Earth in its time of like utmost need, because of like, you know, I guess all the you know, the really cataclysmically fucked up stuff that seems to be happening. Like even like, you know, with the freaking slamdemic. You know, and like trying to start World War III with the fucking Russians, and like perceived, I guess, whatever, like that it's just us versus them, but there's a whole bunch of fucking other ideas behind that. But and you know, like whether or not you believe in climate change and planet possibly dying, so you know, dying of like nuclear holocaust, which is, they've said to, I've seen many videos, like especially in Ancient Aliens and stuff, that they've visited bases and like stopped nuclear attacks, like even during the Bay of Pigs, wasn't that in the Cold War, Cuban Missile Crisis, where they came over and supposedly Russia put nukes like right, you know, in the ocean, like right around us, and were trying to, and supposedly I guess they were just gonna set that shit off. And ETs had to actually intervene, because I guess that also kind of can ripple so much of our time and space that it can negatively affect their realm too, or you know, more of theirs. So yeah, it's just important to note, I guess. The main other thing I was looking for is kind of like noting all of their different ideals, and then seeing which ones match up with the other channels or channelers is what I kind of want to do. If anyone wants to help, it'd be fucking fantastic. So I think part of like a lot of science's methodology is kind of like approaching things sort of skeptically, but that's kind of a bad word, because it should approach it not only skeptically but also as if it could be true, which is because like kind of keep an open mind to new ideas. Because if you close yourself off and just say, oh, like I've been tricked before with this fucking, I guess the most obvious one we can remember is our childhood is like Santa, and that feeling of disappointment and like disbelief that people would go this far to deceive you and never want to feel like a dumbass again, and like such an embarrassing moment. Like that's probably programmed in our childhood from now. But and same thing I guess goes with like the whole like not believing in God thing anymore, and like that it's kind of sad because it's been reported that that's like the most loving energy and highest intelligence, and obviously create the fucking universe. But I'll get into posting way more evidence of that. There's a ton of mathematical evidence of that, and it's increasing more. There's like 10 irrefutable numbers at this point. Probably more than that. 24 that I come across. But I'll put that in the next video. And I gotta get lost where I was going. Oh, but using scientific methodology is like just showing these reports and maybe like bulleting the main, like really specific, but the main points of like each channel, what each one says, and each channeler said or whatever, and trying to not only find like if there's any contradictions, but also like the things that appear to be the most true, or if there's any other specific evidence that supports those ideas. Like I showed you some images, but and a lot of that was from like CE5, Stephen Greer's meetings, where they actually go out and they do like a peaceful meditation that shows like ETs how to find you and how to show some form of like understanding, or kind of like in the sky contact, or like I guess in their case was like some type of etheric being present and showing itself. But just like profound fucking things. I mean, I don't know why anyone would just kind of like want to refute this, just to ignore it. I mean, if you can keep it open mind, it basically is like it's like a spiritual awakening. It's like a realization of like, it almost be like dying, like these people that die and come back, but like dying and then like doing all the DMT, all the DMT, and like going to like launching out of your body and going and visiting all these different realms and like dimensions, I don't even call them, and figuring them all out, because they've done all the work. They've been around like teaching people other planets and like doing all this stuff, and then showcasing all that information and how it benefits you, and then but then just being like, well I don't feel comfortable with like thinking about aliens because I'm afraid they're fucking something's gonna happen like my way to work or some shit like bad. But it's not usually ever really how it ever goes down. Most people don't fucking have any like type of like real harmful or like really harmful experience, at least especially in recent past. Most of it was really profound and like peaceful and like positive and uplifting and just profound. Did I say it again? But so if you want to write down the main points, I'm gonna start doing that, and then if you can find anything that's just like, wow, like that completely does contradict the other thing that this other channel was saying, or something that even the same channel has said in its own thing, or or maybe that it's just because you've taken the ideas and put them in a bolded sheet or something, like this versus that, or this seemingly isn't as accurate as this one, then I think we'll have a much better understanding of what's going on and how to translate the information more effectively. Like figure out like how do we use this information. And it's been said many times, information is power. I mean, a lot of the most powerful things on this world is like have used this like information like it is reports like ancient sages and even like Nikola Tesla said he was like using some type of radio waves to contact ETs, and he fucking had like free energy ideas and like sucking electricity out of the air and transmitting it wirelessly and all this stuff before his time, or he couldn't even use it. But you can get all sorts of types of things. You could, I mean, fucking, you could get some like Elon Musk Tesla ideas, like change fucking everything. Like, they obviously, like someone said, they have like semi-sphere wireless energy generator from that Bob Lazar interview. So, and you could, it said you can even tap into like Akashic records. It's like short out there, and get information that way. It's like a kind of like a giant etheric library of like all your old souls collected ideas and places from a lot of different planets and galaxies and densities and it's a lot of their ideas, and you can just we have like the radio receiver in our pineal gland that is able to like intercept and get these ideas at will. Like sometimes you find more and more as you realize these things, you can just like it's a lot easier to figure out how to fucking fix like even like my vehicles and stuff, and like some type of like computer problem. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just trying to spark some interest. I hope you like the approach of how I would start to get into it and like try and figure it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. I haven't fucking heard much of anything from anyone. Other than like some nice like things like cool and awesome, like a thumbs up. But yeah, I'm trying to get some people to kind of like have some conversations about it, translate and effectively change our lives and get this divine plan of source to be the most synchronic it can be, and really make some prolific changes in all of our lives. And if you see that as something that you can find interesting or important, then let me know. Maybe it'll start up some type of probably like a Discord. Just thought of that now, but not like fighting, but the program Discord. And yeah, Godspeed. Love you lightly. Doesn't sound like a whole lot. Yeah, this is actually another thing they say too, which is kind of funny. I actually formed the name Godspeed before I had heard these videos. This Max introduced me to him. It's kind of synchronic as well because we had just had our experience. But and that one was, sorry, that was the last one. They don't post as much anymore, but they're called Higher Self. This is the one that I started with, a Higher Self portal. Is more specific. But yeah, look at the flower life on there. They haven't been posting as much. More of their stuff has been on people's like kind of like almost like tarot card reader people or something. But they used to have really good stuff. And Archangel Michael was posting on there too. Michael Love. But yeah, this is one of the ones I wanted to talk about too, but the Grand Solar Flash. But yeah, I'll get more into that on the next video. And we'll talk about things that